Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelce. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
Welcome to the Kingdom Corner. I'm Andrew, and with me, as always, is your favorite person, the man himself, the man who says he looks at things around the world and says, you know what? I know how to do things better. I am just that kind of guy. I can do whatever I need to do and provide for me and my family, and that's good enough. This is your favorite person, Mr. Dale Baker.
Oh, thank you for the intro, Andrew. That's very much appreciated. I do think if people listen to me, the world would be smarter. I'd like to first start a driving class
yes.
and teach people how to drive. So that'd be my first thing on my bucket list.
Make sure you add merging into your class as well.
Yeah. Oh, cool. All of it. All of it's coming in. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah,
man, Merry Christmas to you. Hope you guys had a great Christmas, you and your family. So
yeah, thank you. Merry Christmas to you guys as well. It was a good holiday, good time to celebrate Jesus and the real reason for all those things. So it was a good day. Good day. Do you guys do anything special for Christmas?
Man, we are one of those families that open the gifts one at a time. Yeah. So we do that. Usually we have like a Christmas Eve gathering, and so we had that, and so that's pretty typical. So but yeah, other than that, man, we just normal Christmas. Tuned on the Chiefs game at noon, and I guess I got my Christmas present. I guess I wasn't very good this year,
man. I know. So do you guys read through the Christmas story or anything?
Yeah. So yeah, we read before we open any presents. Yeah, we read Luke chapter 2 and the birth story, the birth account of Christ, and just remember why we're opening presents on Jesus' birthday, and there's a lot of I feel like my kids are pretty fortunate and pretty blessed, but we also try to remind them there's kids in their community, in their school, that aren't opening presents, that aren't getting things, and so this is because we love you and we appreciate you, and so just again a reminder of gospel and grace with them as well. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, that is good. So we do something very similar. We read through the Luke 2 account, although this year we did not. We have this Advent book we've been working through, and and so Advent is just a preparation for the coming of Jesus, is all that really means. And so had one for Christmas Day as well, and so we read through that, and and so instead of reading through Luke 2, we read through that book to prepare for that time and spend some time praying and thanking Jesus for all that he's done, and more than important than even football or anything else, just salvation that he brings and gives to all who are willing to accept it. So it's a good holiday. And the fun tradition we do when we go to my parents' house is we actually do a Christmas auction. So we have fake money, like big Monopoly money. There's lots of rules to it, but basically they don't make change, and you don't know what items are coming out, and every item must sell. And so there's some items that are thrown in there just to throw people off, such as pickled onions. Nobody would ever use those that I could ever imagine. But if you don't spend your money on it, the auction's over, and you might not get a really good item that may or may not be coming. So who knows? But it's a fun little tradition that we do.
Oh, yeah. Still waiting for an invite from your dad.
I know. I'll make sure to let him know that Dale needs an invite. So I'll put that on the list for next year.
All right. I'll come down for that, man. That sounds like a blast.
All right. Sounds like a plan. So, let's do a quick recap of the Raiders game. So we're another day late to this Raiders game, but I think a lot of that's just because we couldn't bring ourselves to even talk about this for a while. So, and we're not even going to talk about that much today. We're just going to talk about it for a little bit. So
yeah.
Quick thoughts. What happened in this game, Dale?
Yeah, I do not know. Usually it's probably the second worst, the second worst game I've watched of the Kansas City Chiefs. The first with the Mahomes era, I should clarify there, but the first being the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was hard to watch, and this game was hard to watch. Just couldn't move the ball. I mean, if you read the box score, it looks like the Chiefs ran them out of the water with time of possession over 10 minutes, first downs, completions, yards. I mean, all of it, and we could barely put up 14 points.
Yep, struggle, dude. The big key in this game is obviously the turnovers that led to touchdowns. Yeah, right. A fumble that was picked up and ran back, a pick six, all within 7 seconds of each other. And so that was the difference in the game.
Yeah.
The Chiefs defense themselves held the Raiders offense to 6 points. They didn't complete a pass after the first quarter, which has been hammered on over and over, and yet
that's wild.
They still won the game.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it was very windy that game too. Which I don't know that they really said much about that in the broadcast, but it definitely was. Butker missed his second field goal of the year following the Patriots game too. And so that would have been a big difference too. I'm not hanging it all on Butker because he's been one of the most solid pieces on the team this year, but he did miss one at the end of the first half. And, if he makes that towards the end of the game, instead of going for it on fourth down for a touchdown, maybe they kick a field goal.
Right.
If they score later, then we're tied, and who knows what happens then. But either way, the Chiefs their offense especially, man, they just were not in rhythm. They couldn't get in rhythm. Mahomes was under duress the entire game. The offensive line played horrible. It was an all-around bad game. So
yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me was that the offensive line. Usually the offensive line, they get pressure early, like first quarter, even like first half. It seems like then they make the adjustments to like figure out, okay, how can we not get pressure? And that's why I think it reminded me so much of the Tampa Bay game in the Super Bowl was like they could not figure out how to stop the pressure. And it was just 4 guys rushing. It wasn't like they were sending like everybody in the kitchen sink. And so with that's a big problem because you're just sending 4. Well, then you still have your guys in coverage, and then so no one's open. And they're the bright spot I would say Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
I know we've ragged on him on this podcast and things like that, and maybe not had the best things to say about him and his play, but man, he has really come around, and I think a lot of it has to do with his fresh legs. He hasn't played that much this year, and so he's got fresh legs, and he's using them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem to be the Chiefs' kind of kryptonite too, though. If teams can get pressure with 4 guys, even before this year, they've struggled with that. Right. Yeah. And that's what the Bengals have done to them for years is getting pressure with 4 and dropping 8 guys. And that's why the Chiefs have struggled so much with that too. So it's just, man, it's hard when you,
yes, it is
when you can't protect your quarterback with 5 guys against 4 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big thing. And so if they can figure those kind of things out, maybe they'll be all right. But man, this is one of those things you just kind of look at it, learn from it, and then burn it and move on and don't talk about it ever again. It's just, I don't want to harp on this game too much. But basically, there was very little good about this game outside of the defense.
Yeah.
So the defense still playing lights out.
Whew. Yeah, let's talk about the defense. Defense is amazing. You mentioned it earlier, but pretty impressive to hold what's his name? O'Connell.
Yeah.
Yeah. O'Connell to not completing a pass after the first quarter. That's incredible. It's a lot has to do with him, but Antonio Pierce they asked him to do exactly what they wanted him to do was hand the ball off and not turn it over. Right. Yep. Just don't turn the ball over. We needed a turnover bad though.
Man. Yeah, you are not wrong. We sure did. And we could not get one to save our life. So
yeah.
Yeah, so they did attempt passes after the first quarter, so I'm not saying they didn't attempt any, but they didn't attempt very many, for sure. Yeah. So it was not good. So Aiden O'Connell ended up with 62 passing yards in the game and was the first one that was able to beat Mahomes there as a rookie quarterback. So that's big.
Yeah. I think Tommy Townsend had the longest pass play of the day.
He probably did, and is the best looking one of the day too.
Through the air. I know Clyde got that screen that should have been like 3 yards behind the line, and should have been sacked or should have been tackled right away, but somehow got out of that and ran down the. But anyway, I think Tommy had the longest pass play of the day.
Yeah. Rough.
So rough.
Very rough. No. And I mentioned it to you before off air, but I was listening to Dante Hall a little bit, kind of his thoughts on the Chiefs and stuff. And he basically says, hey, whatever they want to call them, just still in front of them and ready for the taking. They're not out of it. So I'm not going to rehash everything he said. You can look him up if you want to and see what all he said. But I'll point this out. He did say there's two big things that are, well, he said three, but I'm going to mention two of them that the Chiefs need to do. First off, there's still a lot of mistakes being made, lining up offsides, right? Had a big one in this game after it just cost you a game just not that long ago, right? So guys lining up offsides, so guys dropping passes.
Yeah.
And he said, the only difference between this year's offense and last year's offense is two people.
Yeah.
Juju Smith-Schuster and Eric Bieniemy. Those are the only two people that are not here this year who were part of the team last year. And I've made the argument before, so I still with it. Juju made a bigger difference than people are realizing because he could get open. But
and catch it.
Yeah. But the other side is Eric Bieniemy held people accountable. He did. I mean, whether you like the guy or not,
right.
And he did hold people accountable. And so that was a big thing. And so Dante Hall's argument is, maybe Matt Nagy needs to step up and clean some of these things up. Says no matter what it is, if there's mistakes being made, it starts at the top. And Matt Nagy's at the top of the offense as the offensive coordinator. So he's got to do something to get these guys in line. But the other thing he mentioned was Mahomes and Kelce, they're just going at people, throwing helmets on the ground. So, this is not the guys we're used to seeing who are cool, calm, and collective, bringing guys around each other and saying, hey, we got this, keep your head in the game.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that have gone down and won games, with only 13 seconds left. Or won games that they were down 24-0 and were leading by halftime, right? Same guys, but now instead of having that positivity, that now it's just all this negative stuff and they're not having fun. They're just trying to force things. And when you're not having fun, when you're not playing loose, it makes it a lot more difficult game.
Right. And I always, I played, you play sports and if someone's yelling at you and, asking you to be better and then you cause 2 turnovers. And I love Pat Mahomes. I love him. But and then same with Charles, you're throwing their helmet. Dude, you're dropping balls. I don't know what unless you're just mad at yourself and you have to take it out on someone. But don't be coming over here yelling at me when I'm on the bench getting a sip of water in the trenches. And then you throw a pick six or you fumble. It's just hey, if you want us to be better, you be better too. And so I think that it goes around everywhere. And so everyone's just, like you said, watch the film, burn it, and don't talk about it again and be better, right? I think that's the key.
Right. Yep. All right. So here's what we have looking forward to. So the Chiefs can still win the division, all right? We're moving on from the Raiders. That's enough Raider talk. So
I hate the Raiders.
I know.
Just for the record.
I know it. You and me both. So the Chiefs still can win the division. All they have to do is win a game. One game. They have 2 games left against the Bengals and the Chargers.
Boom.
So they're playing the Bengals at home at Arrowhead, and they're going to the Chargers. So when one of those games you win the division, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't win any games, there's a chance that you don't even make the playoffs. So and I'm going to say the Bengals, with their backup quarterback, they've won 3 of their last 4 games.
Yeah.
Right. The Chargers have always played the Chiefs tough. I don't think either one of these games are going to be a cakewalk. I don't. I'd love to see it be that way, but just how the Chiefs are playing it, I don't think it's going to be easy. Either one of these games are going to be easy for them. So the Broncos and the Raiders are the 2 teams right behind the Chiefs. So neither one of them have tough schedules left. The Raiders, and so the Raiders to end the season, they play the Colts and then they play the Broncos.
Okay. All right. So
they could easily win out.
Yeah.
Or the flip side, the Broncos, they play the Chargers and then they play the Raiders. So they have 2 division games left. So I'm not saying that they will win both those games for either team, but there's definitely a chance that they could win both those games.
Yeah.
And so if the Chiefs drop even one, they're not going to win the division. So they have to, well, I guess let me phrase it, they have to drop both of them to lose the division. So, but the Chiefs, what they want and what they wanted to accomplish is still in front of them. All they have to do is win. So
basically those 2 teams can't win out, right? One of them can't win out. So like the Raiders can't go
beat.
Because they play each other. So they can't go beat the Colts and then beat the Broncos. So we need we need some magic here if we lose out to still get into but man, who wants to go to the playoffs like that?
Not
nobody. Not me.
No. Let me give you a few stats of the Chiefs though, and the games that they've lost this year. So they're now sitting at 9-6, which is the most games in the Patrick Mahomes era that they have lost.
Wow.
FYI. I think before the most was 5, and now we're at 6 right now. So in the games they've lost this year, the Chiefs have let me rephrase it here. Sorry, I got tongue-tied. The Chiefs have gained more yards than their opponent by about 30 yards per game.
Okay, per game.
First downs, these are on average. They've got 3 more first downs per game than their opponent. And passing yards, they have about 60 more passing yards a game than their opponent.
Wow.
Rushing is the only category that they are losing in, and they're about 25 yards less per game than their opponent. And part of that is when they're losing, your opponent's going to rush the ball a lot more because they don't want the game back in Mahomes' hands. Let's see, turnovers. These are just totals. Turnovers. Chiefs have 13 turnovers, and their opponents have 4 turnovers in that loss.
Whew.
So,
man,
not good.
No,
not good at all.
Yeah.
Red zone percentage. When the Chiefs get in the red zone in the games they've lost, they have scored touchdowns on only 48% of those red zone visits. Their opponents have scored touchdowns on 60% of their visits.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So those are the two that the opponents have advantage on is rushing yards, red zone, and turnovers. And turnovers, I would say, is the biggest one. But, I mean, that just goes to show you all those other numbers, shows you that the Chiefs' defense is still playing very well.
Yeah.
The points off turnovers, 34 points for Chiefs opponents. The defensive points allowed in these games, if you take away points off turnovers, including pick sixes, the Chiefs defense is allowing about 16 points a game. So in these losses, as an offense, you just have to score 17 points to win. And the Chiefs offense can't do that. That's where these things are coming from. So,
well, as a prime example, the prime example is this past Sunday or Monday.
Yeah,
was 2 turnovers in their own side of the ball field there, and it just turned. Man, it got bad to worse quick, and so those 2 turnovers, and like you mentioned earlier, is that the defense held them to 6 points all game.
Yep,
and I mean, teams definitely play different when they have a lead. And so, they could milk the clock. They could, take their time. They could say, hey, we're just going to run it, because, what else are we going to do? We're not going to try to blow them out of the water because I think mistakes happen. But, man, those are some glaring, that turnover differential and how many points are scored off turnovers is huge.
Yeah, that is. It's huge. So here, it brings me to my question here for you.
Oh, man.
And I'm going to ask you, I don't want you to answer yet because I'm going to give you some stats and stuff before you answer. So, the question we need to answer is, has the Chiefs dynasty fallen? So we've been talking about, hey, we're already in the dynasty. We've won 2 Super Bowls, been to 3 just in a short 5-year span, right? And so, so here's why you might make the argument that maybe it has, because the Chiefs roster has to be revamped, especially on offense. I think we could all agree to that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so here's what we have. These guys are still under contract, who are guys that the general public, I don't know about the Chiefs. We're not in Brett Veach's head, but wish he'd listen to us a little bit. We could give him some advice. But the general public fan, I think these are guys who they wouldn't mind seeing moved on. So MVS is still under contract for 1 more year at $10 million.
Okay.
So big chunk. Jawan Taylor, who is the highest paid right tackle in the league. He has 3 more years at $20 million a year.
Yep.
Tony still has 2 more years under contract, and these next 2 are not as high, and he's going to be making about $3.4 million a year.
Right.
Sky Moore, 2 more years left, making $2.8 million.
Yeah.
So those are the guys still under contract. And then consider this. These are the guys coming up to free agency this year.
Oh, no. Here we go.
Chris Jones. And I'm just mentioning the big names, not all of them. Chris Jones, Willie Gay, L'Jarius Sneed, Drew Tranquil, Tommy Townsend, Mike Dana, your guy, Jerick McKinnon, Derek Nottie, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I had to throw him on there with how well he's been playing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But those are all guys coming off their contract this year, so they'll potentially be free agents. The Chiefs are projected right now to have about $35 million in cap space this offseason. That's not much for all these guys.
Holy cow.
Now, that's projected. It could change because, they change it every year depending on income and everything else. But projected to have only $35 million in cap space. That's not a lot.
No. To address some of these needs. Yeah, to address some of these needs. And yeah.
But then the next year, here's what the guys coming off the following year. So these guys will still have another year at the Chiefs. But the next year, guys coming in to be free agents would be Justin Reed, Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Noah Gray, Charles Omenihu, and Harrison Butker. So these are all some big guys, big names in the next year or two. And a lot of these guys are on rookie contracts. And so they're not going to be playing for the same amount they're playing for right now.
And a lot of, they have an agent worth anything. These guys with like a year left are going to want maybe, hey, let's just extend.
Yeah.
Let's just extend us now. And so maybe some salary cap gymnastics can happen with that.
Absolutely.
But and I definitely think maybe old Clark Hunt needs to open up the old pocketbook and, and I'm always a fan of just give them the big signing bonus because that doesn't go against the cap. Right. And then give them a small, but I know guys want, for whatever reason, they're like, I want my paycheck to be big.
The pride issue.
Yeah. The pride issue. Right. And so I'm like, hey, just take the signing bonus of 20 million or whatever, 10 million, and then, subsidize your salary. That way we get more players. But hate talking about money and hate talking about other people's money. And so I don't know if Mahomes is going to have to restructure. I don't know if, just take less, because I know he's supposed to get I think next year is supposed to be a big hit on the cap as well. And so, man, when you pay your quarterback, it's hard to pay these other guys like that.
Yep.
And so,
well, bringing it back to my question. So has the Chiefs dynasty fallen?
No,
because this year it looks like there's not looking good.
Yeah.
Next year, got all these guys coming off. You think it's still going to be all right, huh?
Yeah, I still think we're going to be all right. I think we need to focus on, and this is going to pain some people, especially because, man, we hit the drum hard about, man, Mahomes could just have a top 10 defense. What could he do? And he has a top 4. He has a top 4 defense, and he can't. It just seems like we need weapons on the offensive side. I think we're going to go back to the old Chiefs of 42 to 35. But I think we need to get rid of I think as long as we have 1-5 and Brett Veach and Andy Reid, the dynasty's not over. And so I think it's just, the Patriots had years where they had to retool. I think the Patriots went a decade without winning Super Bowl in between Tom's run there. I think they won 3, then they won a decade and they won 3 more. A couple years. So I think you can definitely come back and be dominant, but maybe not as dominant. There's hopefully, fingers crossed, they're going to win the AFC West, which again will be 8 times in a row, and still, control the conference. So I think that's the big thing. So yeah, the dynasty's not done. They're gonna have to ask some hard questions, and I'm sure Brett Veach and his team are asking those hard questions right now and figuring out, okay, what do we need to do? Do we sign Chris Jones? Do we not? If we sign Chris Jones, well, then we're going to lose Snead and Gay, who are, huge. And I promise you, L'Jarius Snead is going to want a big payday.
And to be honest, he deserves it.
Yes,
he does.
Man, that guy hits like a linebacker and runs like a corner. So
yeah, he does. You're not wrong at all. That is for sure.
Yeah.
That guy, honestly, if he's not an all-pro cornerback this year, the system's messed up because I think he deserves to be an all-pro cornerback this year.
So what do you think? You think the dynasty's done? You think it's over? You think we're just a little bump in the road, maybe a little flat tire on the road to greatness?
No, I don't think it's over because
all right,
I still think that Brett Veach is one of, if not the best general manager in football, and I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to manipulate the salary cap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always going to come back to hit your team at some point, though.
Right.
Everybody just thinks you can spend money on whatever you want to, and that's just simply not true.
Right.
And honestly, I like it that way because it keeps the NFL competitive. And it's not like baseball where you basically have, 5 or 6 teams who are going to compete every year. And every once in a while, not often, you'll get 1 or 2 teams that'll slip in there, who have young guys or whatever. And the NFL, because of the salary cap, you have these teams that are competitive every week. I mean,
right.
The Raiders just beat the Chiefs. I mean, that just proves to you how competitive this NFL is. Right. The Ravens just demolished the 49ers just the other night. Yeah. And nobody saw that coming, right?
And so who did the Patriots beat? They beat like the Broncos, didn't they?
Are you talking about this year?
This past week. The Patriots. Yeah, the Patriots beat the Broncos.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Anybody can beat just about anybody if you're not prepared in the NFL. And
right.
And honestly, it's because of the salary cap.
Right.
And so that's why I like the salary cap, because I like every team to be competitive. It helps out the small market teams, even like the Chiefs, even though right now we're like, how are we going to pay all these guys? But it really does help us to be competitive against the teams from New York and LA and all these places.
Yeah.
You're generating more money. Yeah.
The small market Kansas City can be in Super Bowls, right? And so, and also I'm sure Brett and them are looking, I mean, something we got to think about is they're looking at the draft and like, okay, who can we get in the draft and things like that. And so, and then who can we re-sign and not re-sign? I think that's always a beautiful thing when we go to free agency before the draft, because it's like, okay, now we know our needs on what to get. And so, but yeah, 35 million is not a lot for a team.
No. So hopefully they'll restructure some guys or whatever they need to do to get that figured out. But Brett Veach has done it before. He's retooled an offensive line in 1 year to win a Super Bowl. So I have a feeling he can probably do it again. So, but to your point about the Patriots, from the time the Patriots won their first Super Bowl to when Tom Brady left, they missed the playoffs twice.
Yeah.
In that span, they lost in either the wild card or the division round 4 times. Yeah. And like I said, they won in 2004, which was, I think, their 3rd Super Bowl victory in that time, and then they didn't win the next one until 2014. So now they did lose 2 Super Bowls in between there, so they did make some Super Bowls in between there, but they just didn't win another one for another 10 years. Yeah. So, the dynasty is not over, if we're going to call it that. So there's nothing to hang your head about. It's not a waste of Mahomes' year because you have a down year. As much as we, and maybe even you, I think we might be on opposite camps here, but some people think that we're wasting Mahomes' talent here because of what we put around him this year. I'm not in that camp. I say, hey, we've won 2 Super Bowls, been to 3 in 5 or 6 years here. So we're doing just fine.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah. We're having a good time, for sure. And Mahomes, I'm just disappointed in like the trade deadline. We didn't do anything for the wide receiver room, not try to get anybody and that was my big, I mean, like just MVS, we knew what we had. Tony, Sky Moore, I knew Rashid Rice was up and coming, but just to get someone in there, I think would have made a huge
and I understand what you're saying, but that still counts against your salary cap, and we had so little salary cap that there wasn't anybody we could have traded for.
Yeah.
Unless we would have traded away another big name from ours to free up cap space. And so I don't think that's what they wanted to do. That's why Hardman was the only one we could bring in because his salary was so low. We couldn't even trade it for Juju again because his new salary is so high, it would have pushed us over the cap limit. So I don't think there's anything they could have done at the trade deadline.
Chad Ochocinco. He's always telling me get me back on the field, or Terrell Owens.
I know those guys
reunite Terrell Owens and Andy Reid.
Those guys keep saying that they're still in football shape and ready. So who knows?
What's Megatron doing? He's got to be in shape. Get him in here.
Man, that guy wanted to get out of the league though. Now maybe it's because he's with the Lions and kind of a Barry Sanders deal, but him and Barry Sanders both retired at the top of their game still.
Yeah. So, but I think the Lions still own. I think the Lions still own his rights. So if he were to try to come back, because he still owns like one more year, and so he retired early, and so they would still own him. I
feel like he's been retired forever, and they still own his rights.
Right,
I think a long contract.
Well, I think just the fact that like you can't just retire and then come back a year. You know what I mean? So
it's been more than a year. I feel like it's been like 6 or 7 years, but
since he never completed or never competed in any games, I think that contract's still void or not void.
Gotcha.
Still good. Still in the good. So yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump into this Bengals game before we run out of time.
All right. Here. Yes.
So not much to say about the stats. I'm going to give you a few really quick. I mean, at this point, the numbers don't matter as much. You just got to go out and win. That's just what it is.
Especially the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs got to win.
Especially with the Chiefs. But I'll give you some really quick ones. Chiefs offense, number 9. Bengals offense, number 21. Chiefs offense is averaging a little over 22 points a game. Obviously not in the past couple weeks, but apparently for the year they have been. Bengals offense is averaging a little over 21 points a game. So they're really close in scoring. Chiefs defense is now number 2, giving up 17 close to 17.5 points a game. Bengals defense number 31. They're giving up 23 points a game. So
man,
but they have Jake Browning now with what's his name? Joe Burrow out for the year.
Yeah.
And so with Jake Browning, he's played some big games, even brought him back to win in overtime. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. And they are averaging 32 points in their wins with Jake Browning.
Whew.
So
man.
So when they're winning with him, they're scoring a lot.
Yeah.
When they're not winning, they're still averaging 23 points a game with Jake Browning.
Okay.
So they're putting up some points still. And so that's going to be something to watch for.
Yes, it is.
So I think the matchup to watch, though, is Browning himself, getting pressure on him, force him to make some mistakes like he did last week. And then also our offensive line against the pass rush of the Bengals. Because as we talked before, the Bengals have a good pass rush, especially in Trey Hendrickson.
Yep. And so, I just think like, I mean, I said this last week and I'll say it again. I think the important thing is just a clean game, clean up some of those things where you're dropping the ball and the penalties and the bonehead, where you're just behind the sticks. And so I think staying ahead of the sticks and, making good passes, catching. And so hopefully Pacheco will be healthy again, but I think Clyde's doing a great job. But just a clean game. Like you said, we just got to win. I mean, really, we just have to win. Even if it's ugly, we got to win.
Yeah. At this point, throw the numbers out and just focus on playing your game and winning. So I think the key to the game then is I don't have much insight on this because it's just so much at this point in the season. You just have to play your game and win. Like that's what it is, especially with how the Chiefs have been playing. Don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry about who your opponent is. Play your game and win. And so the key for the Chiefs, don't beat yourself, and the offense has to get into
there you go.
Don't beat yourself and let the offense just do their thing. So don't be yelling at your players and your teammates on the sideline. If you're the offensive line, just block anyways. That's your job. Protect your quarterback and your running backs. If you're a wide receiver, catch the ball. That's your job.
Yeah. I think my key is make this Brownie kid look like a backup. Right.
There you go.
We had a rookie beat us this past week, and let's just make him look like a backup. And not to throw any shade at him, but he's not a starter for a reason because he's behind Joe Burrow, right? And so he's a backup quarterback. I'm sure he's a great guy. Never met him. Don't even know anything about him. But we just got to make him look like a backup. Yeah,
for sure. So my score prediction, and I don't even know if I trust any of my score predictions anymore because they're so far off.
Yeah.
But I think the Chiefs are going to bounce back because
I like
it. It bodes well for the Chiefs that we have a great defense, even though the Bengals have been scoring a lot when they've been winning games. It also helps the Chiefs out that they're going to be going against a lesser defense, even though they have a good pass rush. They are giving up a lot of points and a lot of yards. So I think that. So I think it's going to be Chiefs 20, Bengals 17.
20-17.
So I think
that's a bounce back
for the Chiefs. It is, absolutely.
All right.
I'll take the win however we can get it at this point. You just said take the win. Doesn't matter how it looks.
I know what I said, but it's just like you were like, hey, it's gonna be a bounce back game. Thinking, they're gonna score like 28, 31. You're like 20. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. There you go.
I'm trying not to get too overconfident here.
All right. Yeah, I love it. Hey, I'm with you. So I just looked it up. The the Chiefs are favored by 7 points.
They might be. I'm still taking the 3. So.
Yeah. And then the total, the over-under is 45 points in the game. So I'm going 20-28 Chiefs.
All right. Well, I'll take either one of those scores as long as the Chiefs win. So, all right. Well, real quick, I got a player comparison for you.
Okay.
We'll make it quick. These are some cornerbacks. They're not hard to figure out who it is.
All right.
So, yards per reception. Player A is giving up 10. Player B, 11.6. Yards a game, 29.9 versus 28.5. Completion percentage, 50.6 to 64%. Passes defense, 13 to 6. Touchdowns allowed, 0 to 2. Interceptions, 2 to 0. Passer rating, 64.9 to 99.6. And tackles, 63 to 42.
All right. Sneed's got to be the guy that tackles 63 people, right?
You're correct.
So did he give up the 2 touchdowns or did he have
No, he has 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the year.
Yeah, that's definitely the guy you want just because the fact that like he's not giving up touchdowns and he's taking the ball away, which is huge. And so, yeah, definitely. And I don't know the corners enough to guess.
I wouldn't know either. It's that Chidobe Awuzie.
Okay. Yeah. Awuzie. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. He's their number 1 cornerback. So not having a bad year by any means, but just goes to show you how great of a year that Sneed is having.
Man, that is fantastic. Fantastic year. So, how much time do we have? Do we have time? Or are we about out?
Oh, we got time. We can throw it in real quick. So,
all right, give me your power rankings top 5. I don't even know if the Chiefs are in the top 5 of the AFC anymore.
All right, power rankings for week. What are we in? Week 17 coming up. No, 16. Sorry, coming up here. Yeah. So number 5, we have the Bengals. So they've been playing well. They lost last week, I know, but they've been playing well with their backup. So they're moving in there. Number 4, the Bills. Bills have moved back into the top 5.
Yeah.
They're just they've been playing well the last few weeks. Can't take it away from them. Number 3, the Browns.
Okay.
So Joe Flacco has reignited them and given them some passion. They're playing well. Number 2, the Dolphins. Their defense has been playing better since Jalen Ramsey's come to play, so playing well. And number 1, the Ravens. They just demolished the 49ers. Chiefs are probably about number 6, but that's where they stand this week.
Man, I thought you were going to have the Chiefs at number 1.
I mean, if only. We're a realist group, if nothing else.
Yeah. Definitely, they're not playing well, so we'll get it right.
That's right. Well, thanks for joining us in this episode of the Kingdom Corner. This episode is brought to you by Ohay Threads. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.